إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير هادي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. What can we say? What can the layman say? What can the student say? What can the da'i say? Except to say what the ulama say about things. Alhamdulillah, if we follow their guidance and say what they say about things and listen to them when they advise us about things, then we be in good shape. But if we're going to run ahead of them and we're going to act before they speak, and we're not going to ask them what we should do, and we're not going to ask anybody to ask them for us what we should do, then we might do what you call live backwards, mashallah. Because this deen brings life to those who answer Allah and His Messenger if He calls them, when they call them to what will bring them to life. Meaning bring their hearts to life, meaning bring their deen to life, make them active in a way which is appropriate for them to be active, mashallah. The knowers should do what they know, and those who are learning should do what they learn. And as my brother Akhil Ingram said last week in Durham, mashallah, tabarakallah, that is what istiqamah to deen is. It is doing what you learn, doing what you know is true. So alhamdulillah, what I would like to do is make what may be a review for some and inshallah fresh for others, but I think it's appropriate for any time that we sit. So I'm going to read. Words are not going to be mine except for a note or two that may come to mind if Allah has mercy upon me. Because after all, I'm just a vehicle. I'm just a means. So let us all remember that we are what? We are means to benefit our own souls, bi'idhnillah. And we are not a goal within itself. Shaykh Rabi' ibn Hadi al-Madkhali, Hafidhahullah, said, فإنه يسبب من نزل بالإسلام وأهله من الأحداث المدهمة وما نزل بهم من ذل وهوان على أيدي أعداء الإسلام اتداعوا عليهم كما تداعى الأكلة على قصعتها. The Shaykh said, verily this advice that I'm about to give is due to the gloomy calamities and the catastrophes that have afflicted Islam and the people, and the disgrace and humility that has reached them at the hands of the enemies of Islam. As they gather around them to feast, meaning gather around the Muslims to feast, as if they were gathering around a dish to eat it. أوجه دعوتي إلى علماء المسلمين ومؤسسات العلمية في كل ساقع من أسقاع الدنيا وإلى حكام المسلمين جميعا أن يتقوا الله في هذه الأمة وأن يدركوا ما أحدق بها من أخطار بل مما نزل بها من كوارث ومآسي فيتحركوا من منطلق شعور بالمسؤولية أمام الله لخروج بالأمة مما نزل بها من بلاء وويلات وأن يبادروا ببذل كل أسباب التي تساعدهم على الخروج وعلى رأس ذلك الرجوع إلى دينهم الحق عقيدة وعبادة وإخلاقا وسياسية. Sheikh says, and now he brings his objectives. So remember, when we're doing something, we have to be clear about our behavioral objectives. Because if our objectives are not clear, then it's hard to move on. It's hard to move forward without an objective. Naam ibadallah, no objective, no movement. No objective, no learning. No objective, no expectation of what to expect from brother A, or brother B, or brother C, or brother A, or brother B, or brother C. Just moving around without objectives. Like that foam on the water, which blows east and west, without a firm goal, without firm objectives. He said, I turn my request to the Muslim scholars and educational foundations in every region of this world, and to all the rulers of the Muslims, that they fear Allah regarding this ummah. So I say, in Laurel, Maryland, and in Baltimore, and in D.C., and in everybody's home, no matter who we are and where we are, fear Allah about this ummah. It's not some selfish little camp where you and I can do what we want to do and say whatever we want to say when we want to say it. But as the Sheikh turned his request toward the Muslim scholars, and he's turning it toward what? Organized efforts about this ummah. Not raggedy efforts toward the ummah. Organized, better than you and I dressed up today to come here. Better than when we put our undergarments on and our socks, shirt and our shoes, and put on our deodorant. Better than that. But toward an organized, really organized effort to help this ummah. And not just organize our own lives when it comes to the ummah. We have 10 minutes of not knowing, 5 minutes of maybe knowing, and expecting, 2 minutes of result. So he turned his attention toward the Muslim scholars, educational foundations in every region of the world, and to all the rulers of the Muslims, that they fear Allah regarding this ummah, and that they recognize the dangers that are closing in on them, dangers that are the cause of the calamities and the catastrophes befalling them. They better look out for a danger that's closing in. They better look out for a danger that's closing in. Look out for a danger whose loop is getting smaller. He said they must respond quickly, being conscious of the accountability they have in front of Allah, to lead the ummah away from the tribulations and the afflictions that have reached them. So where are we, Ibadallah, from the people who the Sheikh reached out to first? Huh? Where do we belong there? Are we in any of those groups? Are we in any of the groups that the Sheikh reached out to first? He reached out to the scholars of Islam. He reached out to the rulers. He reached out to Muassasat al-Ilmiya, to the educational foundations. So where are we? Are we in any of those categories at all? Are we? I need a response. Are you head of an educational foundation? Are you a scholar of Islam? Do you rule an Islamic country of some kind? What? No! I can't even hear. The answer is no. If the sisters can hear me, you know you don't either. So the first reach is to those who have real accountability before Allah, for other people, for millions of people. Real accountability for millions of people. You and I may get 5 or 6 at the most. So how are we doing with our 5 or 6? How are we doing before Allah? Just think if it was millions, if it was billions, how would it be? He said they have to move quickly, being conscious of the accountability in front of Allah, to lead the ummah away from the tribulations and afflictions that have reached them. Furthermore, he said, I advise them to hasten to take every possible step that will help them to lead the ummah out of such calamities. At the head of these affairs, at the head of all the affairs, at the head of the affairs that will lead the ummah from the calamities, to the people who he reached out to, is the return to the religion of truth. In all affairs of belief, aqidatan, all the acts of worship, ibadatan, all the acts of character, meaning akhlaqan, and politics, the siyasiyah. Siyasiyah. Sheikh Al-Albani says siyasiyah means what? Anybody know? When he says siyasiyah, we translate it as politics. Anybody know what the Sheikh said it meant? It meant shu'un al-ummah. It meant the affairs of the ummah. All of its affairs is siyasiyah in our deen. And things which are the direct affairs of the running of the ummah. فيدعو المناهج الصحيحة المستمدة من كتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وما كان عليه السلف الصالح لتربية الأجيال عليه في المساجد والمدارس في مختلف مراحلها وفي كل وسائل الإعلام واضعين نصب أعينهم قول الرسول الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. He said to the scholars and to educational foundations and to the rulers, he said they must establish the correct school curriculums. Number one, they have to establish the correct school curriculum. المناهج الصحيحة للمدارس. If they were serious about building something, then they would reach out to the specialists who know how to do what? Who know how to do a correct school curriculum. Or else, the Shaykh, Allah knows best, Rabi' al-Sunnah, Habibullah, would have said that first. Why? He said, and it had to come from the book and the Sunnah. And it had to come from the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it had to come from what the righteous Salaf were upon, so as to educate the forthcoming generations, the future generations with that. This must be done in where? It must be done in the masjid. Experts. It has to be done in the masjid. It has to be done in the schools. It has to encompass all the grade levels. It has to encompass all forms in the media. Keeping in mind the statement of the noble messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, all of you are shepherds and all of you are accountable for your flocks. So here again he reaches out and says the foundation has to be established. That means talent has to